confident that everyone can do this. So if you are able to implement these factors that I made mention just of now, right? The environment, the habits, the strategies. So the environment is going to help you be able to overcome lack of motivation. A lot of people start their Quran learning goals, their Quran learning regimen, but they are not able to continue with it because of some other reasons. Like they got discouraged by little progress they are making, or they got discouraged by the environment they have themselves. Learning one on one. It's very common. People think that's the best way to learn the Quran. Anyways, I'm not here to discuss about that one, but I've seen in many students that to avoid lack of motivation, lack of interest in learning the Quran along the way, you have to have a companion. You have to have an accountability partner. You have to have someone apart from the teacher who will be your own, might be your role model, or that be someone who's going to encourage you and motivate you to learn the Quran as well. So the habits are things you have to do. You have to do them like on a routine, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, right? That's going to help you retain. It's going to call it so the habits, like in our accelerated Quran read program, we build in something called the three memory habits in our Quran. It's well structured in the program that will help the kid to retain everything you're learning. So whatever they learned last week, they're going to be applying it next week. Whatever they learned 5 weeks ago, they're going to be applying it every week. We have a way we do that in our program, and that's what we want to do. We want to help kids avoid that kind of challenge of being able to retain what they've learned in their past classes. A lot of kids face this challenge, right? They can't retain whatever they've learned in previous classes, and this is very common in many Quran programs. But we've designed this program uniquely for kids, but I think it could benefit a lot of adults as well. Okay, so going forward, the strategies, I'm just going to give you a very brief summary of the strategies we use in our program. So these strategies are the build, retain, and transfer. So the build is we build the kids, we build the students, right? You build the proper, Quran structure, the structure of the letters, the alphabet, the tanween, the mudud, how to pronounce sukun, right? Shadda, what, and what? Lam al-Qamariyya, Lam al-Shamsiyya, how to pronounce gunna, right? How to pronounce gunna, how to pronounce the mad al-tabi'i, right? So the mad al-tabi'i is involved in many words in the Quran, like mad al-badal also is part of mad al-tabi'i, mad al-leen. These are natural mad that come with many words in the Quran, right? These are mad that they are called long vowel sounds. So mad means long vowel sounds, right? So you have to learn, build proper Quran alphabet structures. You have to build the vowel sound knowledge, the knowledge of how to stop. You have to build the long vowel sound knowledge. You have to build the tanween, the intonation rule, right? You have to build that. You have to build the rule of shadda, which is very important. That's number 5. Then you have to build knowledge of identifying how to pronounce lam al-qamariyya and lam al-shamsiyya. That's number 6. You have to build how to pronounce ghunna. Ghunna is could either be ghunna for nun sakin wa tanween, or ghunna for mim sakina. So we classify the ghunna into two. So ghunna for nun sakin wa tanween, number 7, and ghunna for mim sakina, number 8, right? And later on, you can learn, the rules of stop, stopping rules of reciting the Quran, right? And you can keep revising. So, like, naturally, if you're able to take each of these goals, it can take you 10 weeks. So, if you want to do it as a crash course, it could take you 10 weeks to become a fluent Quran reader. But in our program, we don't want to rush the kids. So, we take it one after the other, and we make it 16 weeks. That even if the kids are able to learn all this, they're able to build all these 10 skills within 10 weeks, they use the rest of the 16 weeks to practice them. They use the rest of the 16 weeks the rest of the 6 weeks to practice them, right? So let's say you want to learn the Quran within 4 months. That's 16 weeks. 10 weeks is enough for you to build a solid foundation. 10 weeks. 10 weeks. All the solid foundation I just mentioned earlier. The proper Quran structure of the letters, the short vowel sound, the long vowel sound, the rule of tanween, the rule of shadda, the rule of lam al-qamariyya, lam al-shamsiyya, the rule of ghunna, ahkam nun sakin wa tanween, the rule of mim sakina, right? And the stopping rules of the recitation of the Quran. And the 10th week is going to be just to revise all those concepts, right? And the rest of the weeks, you're going to be using that to revise all the rules you've learned. And that is where the retain process is going to set in. Throughout all those 10 weeks that you're learning all those building, when you're building all those stuff, You're not just building them and leaving them, you're building and retaining them. You're building and retaining, right? So if you guys would like to learn more about the strategies, I would advise you guys to download the a free copy of my guide I wrote about how to help your child become a fluent reader. This is a free guide. I'm going to put in the link in the webinar after this video. You guys can download it. You're going to read more about these trade strategies. You're going to learn more about them, right? So just to recap, the strategies are not just the only thing. The strategies is included in all the factors that could influence your Quran learning: the environment, the habit, strategies. But I'm making more emphasis on the strategies because it's the most hard thing for people to do, right? You can control your habits, you can control your environment, or you might not be able to control your strategies. The strategies will come by from you having years of experience teaching the Quran. So someone who's just starting to learn the Quran will not be able to develop any strategy. But the person who's been able to teach people for a longer period of time, he has encountered a lot of students and he knows what works and what doesn't work. These are the people that can be able to design strategies to learn the Quran. And I'm trying to share this free resource with you from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with, teaching the Quran for more than 10 years and memorizing the Quran for almost 20 years now, or very close to that. I've finished my memorization. So we've seen teaching and seen how people learn the Quran. We're able to build and put down this curriculum, put down the strategies, and that's what we're implementing in our accelerated Quran reading program. So if you might be interested in helping your child learn to read the Quran, you can reach out to us. We have another cohort starting next month for the accelerated Quran reading program. That's an exciting opportunity for students, parents who were not able to get into the previous cohort that started this month. So you can join that and help your kid become a fluent reader, or otherwise you can learn on how to implement the strategies watching or reading my guide I just mentioned of earlier. So you can download the free guide, use it, try to implement it with yourself and your family, and inshallah Allah will make you be able to read the Quran fluently within 16 weeks or less than that. Based on the plan I just mentioned. So tailored plan that I'm gonna give you guys today is like there are 10 things or even 9, will I say 9 things that you have to learn. Basic 9 things you have to learn to become a fluent reader, that you can read the Quran and you're going to be comfortable with yourself. You have to learn the structures. So if you say you want to learn the Quran for 16 weeks, for instance, 4 months, this is how to do it. So you have to learn the basic structures of the Quran alphabets. Let's say you're going to do that in week 1. Week 2, you're going to learn how to pronounce the short vowel sounds and how to identify them and how to stop on them. Week 3, you're going to learn how to pronounce the long vowel sounds, the mud, right? The long vowel sounds. That's week 3. Week 4, you're going to learn how to pronounce the tanween. You're going to learn how to pronounce the tanween. That is week 4. Week 5, you're going to learn how to pronounce the shadda, right? You're going to learn how to pronounce the shadda. That is week 5, right? Week 6, you're going to learn how to pronounce, the rules of lam al-qamariyya, lam al-shamsiyya. You're going to learn how to pronounce those ones. You're going to learn how to do what? How to pronounce those ones. That is week 6. Week 7, you're going to start learning some tajweed, basic, nitty-gritty of tajweed rules, like learning the ghunna rules. So the rule of nunu sakin and tanween, you have to learn that. Let's say you learn that in week 7. Week 8, you learn the rule of mim sakina. You learn that in week 8. Week 9, you learn the stopping rules and some other related rules that are very minor, like the huruf al-muqatta'a or the stopping rules of. You can learn that on week 9. Week 10, you can revise everything again. By week 10, just less than 2 weeks, or less, probably 2 weeks and a half, right? 2 months and a half, right? That is like almost 10 weeks. So 10 weeks is like probably 2 months and 2 weeks, right? So at 2 months, 2 weeks, you already know the basic structures of the Quran. And the rest of the weeks, to get to 16 weeks, 4 months, you're just going to be practicing everything. And the reason why our strategies work very good is that we are not just building all those things I mentioned, like all those 10 things we're going to build. We retain them as we build them. We design a way to retain those things as we learn them, right? So that you don't just learn everything and at the end of the 10 weeks you forgot everything. No. We build and retain. So build and retain. And if you're able to master the build and retain level, you can transfer that to become a fluent reader. Bi-idhnillah. So if anyone have any questions, I know you can shoot me a comment below, send me a private message to my messenger, or send us an email, inshallah, and we're going to reach back to you later on, inshallah, bi-idhnillah. And today, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.